we thought we were going to make all this money from this podcast and sponsors. But really what's happening is like we're meeting these amazing people.
To celebrate 200th episode, we're running a giveaway.
We are giving a free course away.
You're listening to E-Commerce Uncensored with Kevin Manel and Jason Caruso.
Hey everyone, and thanks for joining us on another episode of E-Commerce Uncensored. This is a very special 200th episode of our podcast. My name is Kevin Manel, and I'm here with
Jason Caruso.
200 episodes, Jason. And
yeah, I mean it's a lot. But I feel like the amount of time we've been doing it should be more.
It's crazy, man. Like 4.5 years ago, we started this thing, and it's gone through so many different changes. I mean, with you and I, like barely knowing each other when we started, we only knew each other for a couple months.
We had Dan, your old partner, on,
and Derek. I think our first one we ever recorded that didn't actually get published had Derek on it, which was a graphic designer that worked for me.
Actually, I think Jen needs to cut that first one in here. That first episode. Does she have the file? Can she cut it in?
I can find it.
Find that file, and you got to play the first part when Dan is talking. Let them. For those of you that haven't heard this, it is hilarious. And so cut that in. Let's get that cut in, Kev.
Well, yeah, I will. I'll talk to Jen about that. But because Dan and I didn't know anything about creating a podcast or anything like that. I had like visions of creating one, but you were kind of the one that came in and kind of were more familiar with creating content and doing these kinds of things. And you're the kind of one that pushed us to do it. So when we actually, and Dan and I were the owners of the business at the time. So we kind of took the lead on it, and we had no idea what we were going to say.
And what did Dan say in the beginning?
It was like,
hey everyone.
It was like, this is episode number 1. We'll play it. We'll play it. You guys play it. We'll find it.
Okay, so this is going to be our first podcast. Welcome. And today we're going to be talking about Jason. What are we talking about? We're talking about.
It is Cinco de Mayo.
So we're going to be starting a series.
It is Cinco de Mayo, by the way.
It is Cinco de Mayo.
And we had a really good lunch today. So Kevin, introduce yourself and tell us what you love doing at Fast Forward and what you've grown to do, your history, everything.
Yeah, my name's Kevin Manel, and I started with the business in 2002, right after getting my graphic design degree from Fairleigh Dickinson University in Madison.
The newest addition to us is Jason, who can describe why he's here and what he does and what he loves. Go ahead, Jay.
So, yes, I'm Jason Caruso. I'm the newest one here, and I don't know if you guys realize this, but all of you pretty much have started your careers here, right? Pretty much. I mean, maybe you were 6 months out. I know this is your business.
I've only worked here, yeah.
Right, you've only worked here, and for me, I've kind of taken a different route to get here.
So, yeah, I mean, we've come a long way. I mean, we've come a long way in a lot of different ways. This has evolved. When we first got into podcasting, our goal and our dream was to have like people sponsor us. And we thought that was like the cat's ass, and we were so excited, and we got like 5 sponsors. And then like, as we're like, doing this more and more, we're like, yeah, man, that's just a drag. Like, Klaviyo has been a sponsor for a really long time. And I feel like they were like very easy for us because we use them every day. And it was something that we can talk about a lot. And we felt very connected to it. But like we had some other people on that really weren't that like intimately connected with, and it was a little bit more of a struggle for us. And, now we're kind of at the point where we're like, we really don't want a lot of sponsors. I mean, we would certainly work with Klaviyo again. But I think that we've come to the, conclusion that this thing is going to do more for us than just bring in sponsors. And to think that our goal was to get people to pay us to come on this thing, we achieved that goal, and we were like, oh, yeah. I mean, that's a lot of pressure,
Oh my God, that was like, I think that was 2019. We had 4 sponsors, and we were in agreements with all of them for like 12 episodes, and we were just like rotating them in, and we were we're making a ton of money, doing these spots, but it like ended up being like such a, so forced. And it turned into like this job where we had to record. I think we were doing at the time, we had to do 2 episodes a week in order to satisfy all our sponsors. So it was pretty
Yeah.
wild.
And then like from there, we started building a lot of relationships. I mean, people reaching out to us, wanting to come on the podcast. And that was like, I think for me, a tipping point where, we started getting clients, and like some of our best clients came through this podcast, and we're like, wait a minute, we thought we were going to make all this money from this podcast and sponsors, but really what's happening is like we're meeting these amazing people, and our sales calls went from like being salesy to like, hey, I just want to give you guys money, and that was an interesting shift.
Yeah, that's the way, like, it so proves the fact that like, you just put stuff out there into the universe, really a lot of value, and it comes back not necessarily in the way that you expect them to come back, like someone just giving you money to do what you're doing, but in so many different ways. The people we met, like you said, I mean, I think back to, I think around even episode 60 or something, or 80, is when we met Jim from Hoku.
Yeah, remember that?
That was
Yeah.
our first guy who called us and wanted us to work with him. He had this mud mask that he formulated. I don't know if he formulated.
I don't
it.
think he formulated it.
He created at least a brand around
Yeah.
this, and he really trusted us with his brand, and we did really, really well.
It
It was like
40 orders a day.
40 to 60 orders a day. We ran a free plus shipping offer that just like was
Blew up.
crazy. And that was our first kind of real client connection. And then, but we would still like, I remember we would just sit around the office, and we would be like, we don't even know what this podcast is. What do we want to do with it? Do we want to build an audience? Do we want to make money? And we would just always it would just continue to evolve. And then we got to the point where we were like always struggling with finding these topics and 10 tips to do this, or we would look up blog posts or do the Q&A, and we were like, screw this. Let's just talk about what we do from day to day with our experiences. That's the only way we're going to be able to just, make this more organic. And now it's just like, when we think about what topic we're going to do, be like, okay, what did we go through this past week that we could talk about that will give people value?
Yeah. And then the pandemic, that kind of screwed things up because we're not in the same place. So we're kind of working a little independently, which is a little bit difficult, especially talking about experiences like we're having, because we're kind of like, you're handling clients, I'm kind of doing other things, and like that's tricky. But I think, the content side, like what you're saying, is like we met, Rev Air, which is one of our clients. I mean, they're going to be lifelong friends. I mean, we're going to build businesses with them.
Right.
Like we fly out to Cleveland to see them all the time, and they are like family to us. I mean, like you don't, every day you don't meet people like that where you instantly, become that close with. And that would have never happened if it wasn't for us getting on this podcast every week and just providing content for people.
Yeah. And I don't think you meet people like that when you just kind of do marketing the standard way. If we were, when we were, really big in the marketing agency, and we were, putting Facebook ads for people to hire us, I don't think the relationships would have been the same.
You're on defense all the time. Like they're always trying, like when you get in those relationships, they're always trying to prove that you're not doing your job or you're not doing it right. Like where these other people that we work with, they just trust us, and it's nice. And look, some things don't always work out, and that happens. Like Hoku, like you said, it didn't work out, and some other things don't work out, but like that bond we have with, I think, with Rev Air is, I mean, it's well worth just doing the podcast for that, so you don't really know. I mean, you don't really know unless you're putting stuff out there. And, it's funny, the next episode, 201, it's kind of like we talk about that too. Like like, Jason, who we interview, talks about, he's like, look, I just jumped on YouTube and I just like created content and people found me that way. And then, they kind of come through my funnels through free, organic content. And it's very interesting, how you go into things thinking one thing, and then like the lessons you learn, after that thing has kind of matured a little bit and you're going through it. It's really interesting. And, we talk about, Kevin, like bringing it to business, like you need to go through this natural evolution, right? As entrepreneurs, we're always fighting it. We're always like wanting like instant gratification, but the truth is it's a process you have to go through.
Yeah. And the barriers that we allow to get in our way. And then, for me, originally, when I wanted to start the podcast, I wanted everything to be perfect. I wanted to have this website. I wanted to have our agency website flow into our podcast and have our agency website have the podcast on it. Then I wanted to get the right microphones, and it was like, it ended up being just like, we started with this little, what was the Zoom we just put in the middle of the table and we started recording. We put some stuff out there. We got 5 downloads a day. We're like,
Right.
okay, and then we gradually got some new stuff. We got more familiar with it. But the point is like, I think as entrepreneurs, sometimes we allow these little small details. And I know this is like the cat calling the kettle black, but we let these small little details get in our way of just producing.
The pot calling the kettle black.
What is it? Is
The
it the
pot.
pot? Is it? Did I do that backwards?
You said the cat.
Just
Just
get the cat.
I don't know. The
Anyway.
pot calling the kettle black.
That's it. That's the saying I was going for. But it happened to us, or it happened to me anyway, some barriers. And I think that a lot of people, and where we come from with the just talking about our experiences is another thing. It's instead of trying to create something new out of nothing, just talk about what you're doing. Like you always say it. Who says it? To document and not create.
Yeah, Gary V. He says, document, don't create. Documenting is much easier than creating, right? Because you're not thinking of things to have to create. You're just documenting what you're doing.
Yeah. So if you're a business owner and you have an e-commerce product, just start documenting what you're doing to develop the product, or how you're building your website, or how you're designing the boxes or the packaging as you're doing it. I mean, that's what Jason mentioned. Our interview for next week is with Jason Brown, who his content is just what he's going to do on a daily basis anyway, that he puts out there. So I think
He just records what he's doing.
Yeah.
People love it. So
yeah. So there's just it's about just being consistent, putting your stuff out there. I know it's not comfortable. It was never comfortable for me. Jason knows that I'm very much an introvert, and
it's not easy.
It's not easy. And every time I get on interviews, I have that feeling like, oh, am I going to say the wrong thing? And it's just like, just do it. Like tomorrow.
I was just listening to a video from Dan Henry I told you about this morning, and he's like, I had this course that I just like, I recorded myself doing a live coaching thing. Like I cut it up, and it was like and that was just like the modules. He's like, and that's so I made millions of dollars. And then like, I had this money, and I created this professional like video and everything. And he's like, I changed the videos out, and everybody got mad at me. He's like, whoa, I just spent months doing this. They're like, no, the other one was just simple to the point. It was easy to follow. This new version has these things flying all over the videos. He's like, I immediately changed it out. He's like, and I realized that people just want the shit.
Yeah.
They want the shit,
And people like to see the real life stuff. When you get these, really high produced video content things, it just comes across as just like a commercial. It seems like, because in reality, we're just talking to other people. And if you treat them like that, they will respond better. And I think that's the key. It's just don't overthink it.
Kevin Hart, in one of his stand-ups, he says, I'm going to just get to the shit. Just get to the shit. It kind of reminded me, like he says that in the beginning of his stand-up. He's like, people get up here, they start telling you all these stories. Like, I'm going to just get to the shit. So It's pretty funny. But yeah, I mean, if there's any lesson from what we've went through, there's a process. You start off with a Zoom mic in the middle of the table. You move to a $50 Audio Technica. Then you finally can make some money, and you get these $600 mics or $400, whatever they are. These Shure mics.
No, dude, I had those ball mics that I was.
Yeah, that was a
the snowball, which I
snowball.
I just loved how they looked, and you were for the longest time telling me not to use those to get the ATR.
And then we go to these things. So like, there's a process. You're not gonna be the same day one as you are, day 365. It's just the way it goes in life.
And you're gonna have those moments a year in, like we did, that are gonna be like, what is this? Like, we're still getting
we wanted to give up
20 downloads. Like, who are we speaking to? But
are we speaking to anybody?
I'm so glad. And who are we speaking to? I'm so glad we stuck with it, and we're at episode 200. Congratulations, Jason.
Yeah, Sandy,
really,
your family had a party for you. My wife doesn't even know we had a 200 episode.
Not really a party. My kid, my daughter
stop!
made me a
you
sign,
got all kinds of things on the.
Well, they did it for my 100th episode too.
I know you guys.
But to celebrate our 200th episode, we're running a giveaway.
We are,
and for the Truth About Facebook Ads,
we are giving a free course away, a free membership to the course of the Truth About Facebook Ads. If you're running ads, you're having trouble, this course, it's $1,000 value for free to one person. You have to go to our Instagram though.
Yeah.
And do
so
what?
We got to go to Instagram.com/ecommerce uncensored
or
go to your Instagram. If you already follow us, just go to our profile or search e-commerce uncensored on Instagram, find our profile, and you'll find all the information there, what you need to do, and enter to win. I'm pretty excited about doing this giveaway. So
me too.
Anyway, thank you guys so much. Thank you guys. I mean, your listeners, the people who have subscribed to our podcast. Thank you so much. This is awesome. This is a really huge milestone for us. And
thanks for listening through our rant today, if you have.
Yeah. And so make sure you subscribe. We got a lot of great interviews coming up over the next few weeks, scheduled already, which is really cool, which I think you guys are really enjoying. We got some comments on our Facebook group, which you can also join at ecommerceuncensored.com/Facebook to stay in touch with us a little bit closer. But make sure you subscribe. Again, thank you guys so much. This has been episode 200. As always, you can check us out at ecommerceuncensored.com. We'll talk to you guys real soon.
Later.